now start with our final session of the day and this iteration of Haim. The topic is Bleisure tourism, brand marketing.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, this was a last-minute change, and therefore I may not be as prepared as all of you here. But just to kind of quickly take everyone through and understand what Bleisure marketing truly is. So, I think why don't we start off with Udassin?
Well, generally, the understanding of Bleisure is combining business and leisure, which I guess most of us have done, and it's been something that has come into limelight in the last couple of years. But especially given that most people have hectic jobs, and there's a huge focus on work-life balance, and especially with a lot of travel, people go to visit, big cities, which in terms of international travel, you sometimes aspire going to a lot of cities which probably, in your younger days you've never been able to go to, and then when you finally are able to go to any of these cities for a work trip, you would like to stay longer. And as far as hotels are concerned, it's a great way to, a 2-day trip gets converted to a 4-day, 5-day. A guest who would be there typically for 2 to 3 days of a work trip suddenly is there for 5 days. And when you combine work with leisure, you're happy. Right. So even you have more happy guests.
Right.
So I mean, from a brand's perspective, it's a great situation to be in. Suddenly you have one guest who covers 2 segments.
Right.
And so it's a fantastic situation to be in.
So you being a developer, you travel a lot for business, and do you take a lot of these vacations along with the business travels?
Actually, my team travels more than I do. It depends where you're going.
Right.
If you're going to cities where there's not a lot of attraction, it also depends on the person. It's very person. I'm a very mountain person.
Right.
So if I'm going to a place in the hills, I love to take that extra day off. So it really depends on the person. Yes, I have done that, especially internationally. When you go to a place where you've never been before, and there's an opportunity to explore the place on a work trip. It's a great motivation, and you feel happy about your job as well.
Yes, and that I agree. Yes. Mr. Majumdar, would you like to say something about this as well?
Yeah, I think leisure is here to stay.
Right.
Firstly, today, given a choice, a lot of people don't want to travel, while you've got people diametrically opposite who really want to travel. And revenge tourism today is a big thing. People say, I've got an opportunity, I am definitely going to travel.
Right.
So when they reach to all these lovely destinations, though we make hotels really nice, but they just don't want to be in the hotel. They want to go and do some other activity. They've been somewhere, they want to go and explore that place.
Right.
And that's really where the travel got necessitated by business, but the individual wanted to take off some time and enjoy in some leisure activities.
Right.
And it extends, not just on a destination. It could even be going and catching maybe the opera somewhere, or going and seeing, having some traditional cuisine maybe in another restaurant. And that's really how it goes.
Right.
To all of us as hoteliers and for hotel owners and hotel designers, the guest is whoever's going to travel to a destination also wants to tell a lot of people that, look, this is where I've gone.
Right.
And it's for us also to make it happen for that person, rather than just giving a neat, clean, sanitized hotel, that when he's going to put stuff on Facebook and social media and his WhatsApp groups, others say, oh, I want to go there.
Right.
For example, this is a lovely hotel, and if I just put a picture of the hotel I went here, I don't know how many people would come, but if I say I went and did these 3, 4, 5 things, they say, wow, we can go there and do all these things. And that's how, all hoteliers need to really promote Bleisure, because the guest is not coming just for leisure, it's coming for business. And I think that's primarily the reason for the travel.
Right. much. What about you, Vas?
So I speak from the first good afternoon. Thanks for staying in. I think it's us talking you from lunch. So appreciate that. So we speak from the perspective that we are largely a company which is in the leisure space. We are in the experiential leisure space, and we actually divide that into wellness, spirituality, adventure, wildlife. So most of our guests come for leisure. They come with their families. Some corporates come for offsites. We have noticed while the word pleasure has been around, it's getting misinterpreted by a lot of people. I think from the definition of what you and I read, it's actually mixing leisure with business on the same trip.
Right.
And it's about traveling somewhere. It's not about a hybrid lifestyle, work from home routine or work from hotel routine for that matter. So other than the hazy definition, I think COVID or the pandemic has redefined this space forever. I was talking to someone in the industry, one of our largest clients yesterday. They have a routine of their colleagues coming in only 3 days a week.
Right.
So the concept was they're supposed to work for the next 2 days, but they're not at home. So this hybrid world, return to office paradigm that we're all seeing now, I think it's going to redefine what the employee is thinking about, what customers want from their lives, what hoteliers like us can offer them, and it's evolving, as I say. So I think good times for the industry. So let's just wait and watch.
Thank you so much. I'll ask now Cyrus to kind of give his expert comments on this.
So yeah, I think you asked Mudassar a very interesting question on how many times has he taken time off during a work trip. Very unfair, because I think that's really the problem. The problem is that most of us who've done this work in business development, we've constantly traveled and we've come back, we've just done point to point, and we've not had the opportunity to see the city that we went to, because somewhere we felt that not because somebody told us this from our companies, but our companies wouldn't appreciate us having time off on a work trip. It's a mentality, it's a sentiment. Interestingly, that's a very typical, probably subcontinental Indian kind of a sentiment. काम से गए तो काम करना है. But increasingly, and I was reading up some material, increasingly in the US, companies are encouraging leisure. It's something that they want, the HR department wants you to indulge in. So 54% of the companies in the US have leisure policies in place, which makes it easier for somebody to actually avail of this facility. Because I remember that the first 4 times I went to Dubai for work, I used to go to Dubai, I used to come back and I didn't see any of Dubai, barring the 2-3 restaurants that my clients took me to. And I used to shop at a 7-Eleven because I didn't have the time to go to a mall. It's only on the 5th trip that I said that, look, the deal is done, now I'll go and have some fun. I can afford emotionally to take a break, which is not the right way to, lead a life. So in the last 10 years, 11 years, I've traveled a lot. Very many times your family asks you that, so you're going to so many nice places. Yeah, but I don't really see any of them. I don't go to, let's say, Hyderabad, and I don't go and really spend time around the Charminar. I just go to meet the client, see the hotel, see the building, and come back. But Bleisure, in concept, has existed all along in disorganized manners. I think many of you remember a scheme with a certain airline which said that we'll fly your spouse or your significant other to the destination you're traveling to. Hotels have been, making packages for bringing your significant other to come and spend the weekend. But they've never been formalized. And I think the formalization is happening just like in any other hotel product. Unfortunately, it's happening more in the West than it happens over here. But we build beautiful hotels. We build when designers and architects design a hotel in Aerocity, for example, they'll build a large pool, but the pool hardly gets used. So why can't hotels formalize within themselves? Probably the problem is with the fact that most hotels are now with brands, and brands don't look at individual hotels. They look at brand-related products and brand-related policies. But if individual hotels within the brand system look at what they have in their own buildings, in a city hotel, so you could have a beautiful hotel at your city which has a large pool, which has a business center which hardly gets used, which has, let's say, a cigar room,
and you could create packages around that and entice people to come. So recently what's been happening is in the IT industry, for example, TCS, for example, has recently announced that only 25% of the staff are going to come into work 3 days a week, which means that they are desperately trying to get the staff to come back to work. There are places, IT companies which I know of, which are doing crazy stuff like doing magic shows to entice the people to come back. They are doing Bhangra nights. They are doing stuff like lottery. So the people who come back within this week to work, we'll do a lottery and we'll give you a 58-inch television set. So imagine the focus of HR now to get people back to work. If hotels and hotel brands can tie up with corporates and the HR departments to say that, look, we have Bleisure packages where you entice the guy to come back to work because girl come back to work because he or she can bring along somebody from the family or give them something a little bit more. It's a great way to increase business, especially in the months which are going to come, because 2022 May and the pent-up demand is not going to last forever. There's going to be off-season again coming up next year, and the world is going to open up. So how do you fill up your hotels, get better rates in the markets in the future?
Thank you, Cyrus. Thank you very much. Govind, your thoughts on it?
My experience has been a bit different than Cyrus. So luckily, probably all the organizations I have ever worked, they were okay if I took a break after a visit. I worked in Africa for 3 years with Taj Hotels there, and each country was so different. Each country had so much of different history. It was that one was under Portuguese, one was under German, one was under British. So for me, it was very important that if you go to a destination to do a business, if you don't know history, if you don't know how business is done, for me that additional 2 days spending in that city or that country was to know the nitty-gritties, the minor details of doing a deal. And I 100% believe that you will be good with your numbers, but if you don't have sensitivities towards it, you will never be able to close a deal. So for me, every extension I've ever done, every visits I've done, I've tried to take additional extra day, additional 2 days, just to do the other side of it. In a way, it was leisure, but it was to gain something for my business also. I remember the first time I went to Sri Lanka. I was working with a real estate company, was there for a meeting with the architect, but then I stayed 3 days extra and did up and down and sea and hills and all of that. But that 3 days, even till date, whenever I go and explore a deal, I know the geography well, and I know, where it is. So, yes, there is a leisure component which gives you leisure and all of that. But for me, that additional day spending in that helps you understand the place and the country and things better. And to me, that is what has been the takeaway.
I think that's something that I should learn from you. I still always just do business and no leisure. So I think that's something that I should learn from you. Okay. So just to kind of just take this forward, and I would like to get your views on. Do you think this is going to be here for a while? Because obviously it's a trend which has started during the pandemic. Is it going to be short term? This is going to last for a while. What do you think? What is the road ahead from here? Would any of you like to answer that?
I think so. It started with the pandemic. I remember going with Taj a long time back. I had done the Bleisure trips before the pandemic. After the pandemic, I've done none.
Right.
So I think it's always been there. It's just that now people are starting to cover it a little bit more.
Right.
Because with the pandemic, people were focusing on whatever could get you business. That's why I came into limelight. But it's always been there. That's what I think.
So I could, since I was preparing for this, I did some research on it.
Right.
And there is a Expedia Group and Youth Research Study which happened at the end of 2021. This is like to share some facts and figures around this. So this joint study provided one of the most extensive insights into the modern leisure traveler today. It found that leisure travelers tend to make frequent business trips with the vast majority, that's about 70%, traveling on behalf of their business at least once every 3 months. And the same research found that leisure travelers work in a wide range of different industries, but the most common were travelers working in areas like technology, healthcare, public administration, and manufacturing. And meanwhile, SAP Concor also did a research, and they found that millennials were the generation most likely to engage in leisure travel, accounting for about 38% of all such travelers. Nevertheless, Generation Xers and baby boomers also accounted for 30% of what they termed as bizcations. Alright, so that's another new terminology. Bizcations, indicating a need for travel companies to appeal to all these age groups.
Where was the survey done?
This was done at the end of 2020.
No, which place? I mean, there was it.
I think this was across Europe.
Yeah, but it depends. I mean, like, some things may be very relevant to Europe, may not be relevant to us.
I think if wishes were horses, most people would like to work from home
Right.
and travel for leisure and then do some business. That's the new mindset that a lot of the millennials are developing, because no one really likes that 9 to 5 routine in an office with disrupted work routines, the water cooler moment. I think it's changing. This hybrid world is here to stay.
Right. Okay, so what in your opinion and what do you think that the hotels should do differently to cater to this whole change or this segment of people who are traveling purely for pleasure? Cyrus, any thoughts?
So I could
Yes, please.
take that. So till last year I was general manager at the Crown Plaza in Kathmandu, Sochi Crown Plaza. And we had a massive property. And we used to spend a lot of money from my budget just to maintain the property, which had nothing to do with the room and the food and beverage revenue.
Right.
So I remember we got a business consultant in, and he was a very smart guy. He had come from one of the marketing conventions. He got talking and he loved the property. He said, I love your sprawling lawns and all. And I complained to him that it cost me a bomb to maintain it. And that actually takes away from my bottom line than adding, because my sales team cannot charge me 500 rupees more to say we've got a massive lawn on the property. And he came out with a fantastic concept. He said, unconference the conference. Alright? And I'm sure a lot of hoteliers can pick up from that. And we actually implemented it. He said, you go for a conference, you'll be in a hotel room like this. Could be anywhere in the world. So we say, we're taking to Jakarta, put you in a hotel room, you spend all that time there, and then late in the evening, these sessions get extended. Then people go out, they have a drink, the DJ puts on the music, and the end everyone will say, put on Bollywood or Punjabi Bhangra, because that's what we like.
Right.
And that's the end of that whole trip. And he said, this is such a lovely country, got fantastic air, weather. He said, take your conference, put it in the lawn. And you won't believe it, we convinced a few companies to do that. The best part was, today with LED screens, in case I have a presentation, even in broad daylight in the shade, that could work. People sat outside in exactly chairs like this. Not a single person went to sleep.
Right.
Not a single person went to sleep. And they would have all kind of, exercises. And later we got in contact with a local training company. And those guys used to come in, just the way we have these product presentations, they would come and do some exercise with everybody and unconference the conference.
Right.
So, there are so many options today, which I think all of us as hoteliers have to get out of our straight jacket and really get into and understand what all we can do. And I can see that most of us are not wearing ties, And in fact, I forgot to get my tie this time. So I requested a friend of mine and he says, you didn't get tired? I said, no, I think I don't. But that's really where, the whole thing is changing. And leisure is definitely something which all of us need to think about, because extending the stay of that guest in the room is really very, very important. It's very difficult today to get the guests across.
Just like what he said was so important, is unconference the conference. Similarly, in the hotel, there are so many products that the hotel owner has built for the customer's utilization. But we become clubbed as, or we get tagged as being a city hotel,
right,
or a business hotel. But the city hotel also has a nice swimming pool, has a garden space, or has something which can be utilized. So if you have a very evolved concierge service, you have a very evolved product or a guest experience manager, it's for the hotel to have these two sets of people to create value around not only the hotel but also what the city has to offer. So when you have a leisure traveler, or when you have a traveler or when you know that travelers come to your city. So again, a lot of data is around Europe and saying Rome, Milan, Barcelona, etc. But even our cities have wonderful places to go out to. Yeah, we are crowded. We have our other challenges, but there's nobody who's reaching out to this potential CEO who's coming to stay and say that, listen, you're here for 2 days, you're going to spend the weekend probably here, because you work on Monday also. On Sunday, we want to curate a set of experiences for you. And ultimately, the curation is from a list. So it's not an individualized activity every time, but it can be done. And if that allows that person to accompany or have somebody accompany with him on the travel, that increases your bottom line. So the other data around leisure travel is that amongst ladies and gent travelers who go for business, ladies want to do leisure more than men. So if that's the case, then that's a huge market. That's a huge market to be tapped. And then you're talking spa, you're talking about cosmetology, you're talking about so much more which can happen within the hotel precinct, and that can all earn revenue for you.
Right.
So I'm no management guru, but let's do a movement, untie the tie.
Untie the tie.
Untie the tie.
Movement to
Why not take off the coat?
because the pun intended on business travel as well.
Right. So now, as Cyrus and Ms. Majumdar shared their experience, is there something different, Govind, Mudassir, that your companies are also doing? Just as an exception.
So I personally feel it depends on, during COVID everyone tried a lot of things, and we have 107 operating hotels, we have 107 locations. Every location is unique. I don't think we can have one formula for every location. If someone's going to go out for a work trip, and to make it into a leisure trip, it's very easy. But if you're going to Bombay, it may be a little more challenging. So obviously it's hotel specific. We have so many strategies, and then we have very talented people working at our hotels, and they come up with very unique solutions. Like Paul said in Crown Plaza, that's what he could do. Maybe if he was here, he'd have to come up with something else.
Right.
So so you have to keep thinking, keep evolving, and that's what we live in a dynamic world, and I personally think it's here to stay, and it will, you'll have to keep on evolving the strategies, how to keep people interested.
Right.
So, since we are talking about leisure, so the whole thing is business come first and leisure come later. But I think with today's technology, you have phone and WhatsApp and Zoom and all of that, you can be in leisure and do business. So it's leisure be rather than be leisure. And from that perspective, hotels then need to have really great quality internet and connectivity, so that even if you're in an island in Andaman, you want to get on a call, you can get. During December, one of our colleagues were in Andaman, and for 3 days we were not able to reach him. And for us, being a American company, December is year end, and that was an issue. So I think infrastructure which enables seamless business in a leisure location should be looked at. The other thing is, again, because we are talking business leisure, it means people are going there for business, which means connectivity is better. But I think India has great destinations which can be opened up for leisure and business. But then connectivity will become a problem, because if it is so difficult to reach and there is no connectivity, why will someone go there? So I think if and I'm sure that great infrastructure, roads are being built, airports are being built, and we are getting to that. But if we can focus on that last mile connectivity, which will start opening a lot of new destinations where people will just go to leisure but then do their job like we are working from home. And for that, infrastructure, be it connectivity or be it Wi-Fi and all of that will be required. I think that is next step of evolving Be Leisure to a new destination. That's how I will see it.
Right. Any thoughts from you?
No, I think nothing specific.
So moving on, and I just wanted to understand how does this impact the project planning? Do you think we need to make changes, especially in the planning of the resorts, because that is where mostly people prefer to take the Bleisure travels. Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, all hotels or any building which we build is built for a specific customer in mind or a specific guest profile in mind. And again, it will depend if you're a business location but you're targeting a leisure, or if you're leisure location targeting a business guy. And based on that, you will have to, suppose if I'm going in a leisure location but I still want to do my business, I would like it to be done in a relatively calmer place, less distraction, less space. So you will have to create those areas where I'm still among the nature, but I'm not being disturbed with kids playing around and shouting behind my back, right? So I think those sensitivities have to come into design, but it will be very specific to location and who are you targeting? It is business or is it leisure in a location like that? I think those, are we looking at a great change in what we do now? I don't think so, but there will be specific areas where you will have to look at, okay, what will bring this guy in and what is his need?
Right.
So I wanted to cite an example. So we have a regional play in the north, but we don't have a presence in Dehradun market. So recently we came across this asset of the Hyatt Group, which is built somewhat closer to Mussoorie. It's actually just a little ahead. They launched it last month, massive investment, and they are pricing themselves double of anything in the market. Now, I've studied in Dehradun, I know the market fairly well. Anybody's guess how this will play out commercially, but their whole focus is Bleisure. They're focusing on the Bleisure game because 25,000 rupees a night is not the market expectation from Dehradun now, but I'm sure they could. So there are products being positioned across the world with this in mind. Better weather, away from the congestion of Rajpur Road, all kinds of markets, whether it's parents, business conventions, government. So I think there's more to it.
Juvi, even today, a pure leisure product like resorts, today are building in a business component because given a choice, a company may not want to do its conference or its regular meeting maybe in a completely urban city location. So they would, while they have all the leisure facilities available, take Goa for example, I think it's one of the very popular destinations, but it needs to have a very good conference facility with video conferencing available and things like that. So I think that all those components are really coming in. And the challenge always for a resort property is how do you fill in the weekdays? The weekends are always packed. So that's where, you've got to be able to attract the corporate group to come in. But when they come in, they need all these efficiencies to be in place. So you can sit down for your lunch and wait 1 hour looking out at the beautiful mountain, but when you're in a corporate meeting, you can't afford to do that. So I think these things will definitely need to come into play, especially in not just the facility, but also in the BOH areas of how will those guys be able to service the needs of the business guests.
Right. I think thank you very much. I think that was a great insight about the entire Bleisure travel, and I hope everyone understands that a lot better. And thank you everyone. Thanks for time.
Thank you so much.
We're now going to be open to questions, so there we go.
So while we get a question, I wanted to add another. So we are talking about leisure, but I think India and with so many spiritual destinations, it's also be spiritual. So for me, if I'm going to Udaipur for a visit, I'll stay extra day to go to Nathdwara. If I am in Nasik, I'll stay extra day and do my. If I'm in Varanasi, I will do it. So yes, I'm there for business, but then I will stay an additional day or two to do that. And luckily in India, with so many faiths and so many religious spiritual destinations, I think that's again a great area for hoteliers to focus. That if you are in Varanasi and there are people who are coming for business, but there are other aspects of it, and can you really open that up? So that's another. I just want to.
Yeah, thanks, Gopal. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us an insight on business and leisure tourism. I'm Praveen Mukhya, architect based in Darjeeling. I was in America and Dubai as well. I think, and I'm a voracious traveler, and I think one segment that we are missing is adventure tourism. And I would like to add, in between leisure and business, the adventure tourism part also. Because today the adventure tourism market is $850 billion. and by 2027, it's expected to be $2,500 billion, and it's growing at a rate of 20% globally. But in India, I believe it's only growing at a rate of 5 to 7%. So I think there's a tremendous potential there. Because, when people go to Gulmarg, what do they want to go apart from seeing the snow? You want to ski. You go to Switzerland, you want to ski. You go to Goa, you might want to do paragliding. You go to Dubai, there's nothing to see apart from the shopping malls, like Mr. Madden said. And, a desert safari is something that they created. You could have done that in Rajasthan years ago, but we should take a cue from there. And as a result, also a lot of adventure tourism related to wildlife is slowly dwindling. Like say Nepal, when you go there, you can do trekking, you can do hiking, you can do river rafting, you can do paragliding. Unfortunately, all the wildlife sanctuaries are slowly sort of being curtailed because initially they wanted to do a biosphere reserve. They thought maybe man and animal could live together in harmony. But now there's a lot of conflict, animal-man conflict. So most of these wildlife resorts, like in Chitwan, Kaziranga, are slowly being cordoned off. So I think people are now focusing more towards adventure tourism. So I think, if you could also, give a heart to another place for adventure tourism.
I'll make a point there, what you said, especially like you made a point about Gulmarg. Now, if you make a hotel there and do a ski trip, you have to have rescue there. Especially now the gondola, if you see, it is on an avalanche slope. If someone dies, and you are making that, you're sponsoring that ski trip, there is no rescue there. There is.
But adventure tourism has its share of danger. Right. You have paragliding accidents, you have scuba diving accidents. So I think that is a little bit of risk involved. But I think, there should be facilities created with proper safety factors.
So I think what you're saying is absolutely apt. The point is what? The point is that, there will be people who will come on business and they will indulge in leisure activities, of which adventure tourism is also a part. Right, so whatever rocks your boat, it could be adventure tourism, it could be a book reading in the National Museum or heritage. So whatever. So I think the idea around this topic is to say that whatever you like to do as a person, as an individual, as a hobby, whether it's adventure tourism or rowing, it's all part of leisure. It can be incorporated.
And for that, the government also needs to chip in. You can make a hotel in a very good destination. Like, for instance, Khairi, Mr. Cole was part of. It's in a fantastic ski resort. You have the best powder snow there. But the government has to do its bit to attract high-end tourists. A lot of tourists get lost. There's no rescue in this country. So, from a brand's perspective, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, but also since you spoke about Nepal, if you go to Chitwan, it's a fantastic national park, and Taj in fact set up a property called Taj Safaris, and right next to it is the Barahi. It's a Barahi Jungle Lodge. It's a local Nepali company. Both of them have the best vehicles which take you inside the park. They give you a guide, and once I had I was fortunate enough to go on a jungle walk, which is not allowed in India or in Africa. You cannot walk, you have to be on a vehicle. So in Nepal, they actually allow you to go on a walk, and they gave us a guide in the front and a guide in the back. But I guess these aren't marketed very well, so I really take that point from you, that adventure tourism is growing, so us as hoteliers, we need to look at it. And the point I think that Mudassar is trying to make is, brands have to also be very sure, if they offer something, then they need to be able to provide 100% safety security for it, because the liabilities kind of crop in. But it's a fantastic opportunity, and I think we can work with those. Take Africa, all the hotels offer you fantastic safari, but we are not doing that in India. So great point, thank you.
Maybe you can take this offline.
Yeah.
We move on to the next one.
Sure.
Great discussion, amazing insights into it, untie the tie, unconference the conference, etc. My question is business related, and then what else is going to happen in terms of innovation and creativity to create these, not just the destinations, but also the experiences. The pressure over the past 2 years for owners has been on ARR, ADR, GOP, net profit. What is it that brands or hotels are going to do to make those incredible changes either on their organograms, put in people who create these experiences. I mean, hotel experiences, whether you talk AeroCity, any other business hotel, leisure hotel, they are in some part cliched. There is not that much to do. Yes, I take Cyrus's point. There is a lot to do. Where is it communicated? Is the guest being targeted for this? You create a conference facility in a leisure hotel. Are they going there for that? Maybe, maybe not. So I would like the panel to talk about 1 or 2 points on this and explain. Is the pressure going to be business, or is the pressure going to be creating more market share in the leisure market, or creating experiences and innovation and more creativity into the game? Thank you.
Sure. Sir, can I take this? So I want to give a slightly different perspective. I'm not sure if it will answer your question. So we've been running hotels in Haridwar for 20 years. Last year we partnered with IHCL and built a luxury hotel. In a very perverse way, solo travel is a part of the leisure travel need. People used to come for last rides, spend a few hours, do what they had to do and leave. Because we built a luxury travel destination, people are spending 2.5 days. We realize that people don't even mind in such a perverse time of their lives extending, because they're bonding with the family, they bring more people. So even after Meerut Expressway, which has brought down the travel time to Haridwar to 3 hours, people are spending 2.5 days at this resort of ours. So a better quality accommodation, global marketing and reach because of the IHCL, and the Haridwar market has evolved in just 6 months, and we have no inbound travelers coming in this COVID period. So I don't know if that answers your question, but there has been some change in that destination for sure.
So to add to what he's saying, again there's data which says that a typical business travel, if it is for let's say 3.5 days, a person coming on bleisure travel extends his stay by 2.5 days more. So you're talking about a 40% increase in consumption or in room nights. So that means that, to answer your question in another way, the fact is that ultimately you've built a city hotel or you built a leisure hotel because you want to attract a certain kind of traffic, right? By creating products or by encouraging people to come there for bleisure, you are increasing the pie. So I think the idea of bleisure is that if a person is coming for X, then can I induce him to stay on for a little longer? In the leisure concept, it's the same but in reverse. It's saying that, look, you are working at home in any case, but you're bored. You're stuck between in a bedroom, maybe in your own private den or whatever. Why don't you just move out of here and go to actress hotels in Maldives and work from there?
We got the point. Thank you, Cyrus.
That was just true.
That's a great point.
But the idea is that you are attracting the person to say, look, like Govind said, that everything that you will need to work in terms of Wi-Fi, and this is all again very well documented in various portals, Wi-Fi, connectivity, access, reach has to be great for a leisure destination to attract the bleisure traveler. So as long as you have that, you are increasing your pie. As a leisure business hotel, you are increasing the pie by also getting one customer who normally wouldn't have come to you at this time of the year, but he's decided to come to you because you're attracting that person. So you're increasing what your bottom line, so to speak.
Yeah, so building up on what Cyrus mentioned, as Indians, we all love food. And whenever we travel to another city and we meet somebody local, we always say, ki yahan ka famous khana kya hai? You know? And when you go and you meet a lot of people, including your clients, they will tell you, don't have dinner here, hum aapko na yahan ki kachori khilane leke jate hain. So what hotels can do is build that in. When they have an Indian guest, they're not adventurous people, they don't want to go climb something, but you tell them, sir, yahan ki ye bahut badhiya famous cheez hai, we can take you there by a vehicle, you can experience, or we can bring that food from there and serve it to you. And I think guests will appreciate that a lot and they'll remember that. So I think it's about creating experiences and extending that, which helps the guests to stay maybe longer in the hotel.
So we also have that prize from our platinum sponsor Eternia. So between the two, I think you can pick one and we'll have Juhi hand it over.